Hi, it's Josh McEwen here with Dufferin News, and last week I was joined by Todd Taylor, councillor for the town of Orangeville. We discussed a variety of topics, including the transition to the OPP, the situation surrounding the location of the town's new public transit hub, and the proposal for a barrier at the corner of McCannell Avenue and Rolling Hills Drive. First, though, Councillor Taylor and I continued a discussion we were having off-camera about what led him to eventually joining council. Our talk ends off with his goals for his work on council for 2021, and like I said earlier, there are a variety of matters discussed in between. I'll clip this up into different segments, and the full interview will also be made available. Big thanks to Councillor Taylor for his time and for making this possible, and to you, the audience, for listening. Enjoy. Hi, it's Josh McEwen here with Dufferin News, and today I'm joined by Orangeville Councillor Todd Taylor. Hi, Councillor Taylor. Thank you so much for your time. It is appreciated.
Yeah. Hey, Josh. Good to be here today. Be fun to chat with you.
Well, thank you so much. So, if you don't mind, can we just start? We were kind of just chatting briefly before about how you kind of got into this and how, I mean, just how I've learned over the past few months how much of a commitment it requires to be on council, and I mean, just how some people might sign on not knowing the full commitments. So, could you just kind of let us know about how your journey and how you kind of got onto council, if you don't mind?
Yeah, for sure. So, we moved to Orangeville, my family and I, in 2002. We lived in London, and I was transferred to Brampton, and we settled in Orangeville. And I didn't think we'd be here for a long time. I wasn't sure what we were going to do, but it's just become home, and I can't imagine being somewhere else. And then once it becomes your home, you feel like you want to make change or to help. And I think the first thing that happened to me was I met people who were involved in service clubs, and I joined the Optimist Club. And then everything went from the Optimist Club. So, the Optimist Club does things in towns like Christmas in the park. So I'm out there each winter putting up lights in the park and helping with that. There's the bike rodeo and a bunch of other unique things that the Optimist Club does for the town of Orangeville. Awesome. But then through that, I met other people, and then I became politically active. So I think the first thing that happened was years ago there was a big kerfuffle about what councillors and the mayor was being paid. And the mayor at the time put together a council remuneration committee. And I remember going to the meeting, and I was there with a bunch of other people who were nominated to be a part of this committee and decide on what councillors would be paid. And Next thing I knew, I was chairing that committee, and I just loved it. Like, I loved the fact that I could make an impact on the town. And, as a group, we all worked together really well, and then we presented back to council our findings, and council implemented those findings. So I felt really good about that. And then kind of a little bit of a monster was created. And in 2006, which was an election year, I put my name in to be on the library board, and enjoyed the library board immensely. It's an incredibly important board in our town, and I was on there for 4 years, but the last 2 of them I ended up chairing it. So, and it's kind of funny, when I first got there, I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what is this? But then as time went along, I kind of got more confidence and understood the process and realized that, I wanted to lead. I didn't want to be just there. I wanted to lead. So I did that. And then what happened after that? So, offline here, you and I talked about the transportation committee. So I was involved in the previous one. I chaired the one we just had. I don't know, Josh, it's starting to run together, but there's been a bunch of different things that I was involved in leading up to the election. And the last time when, why would you run? In my mind, I was so concerned about my personal brand, and that is, we've made some really good friends here and people whom I think highly of and respect, and I didn't want to look at them and be a councillor and have them think that I wasn't all in and I wasn't doing a good job. So I was worried about that. I thought, boy, I hope I can put the time in, because I do have a full-time job. Anyway, my wife and I talked about it, and over time we just got to the point that I felt like I felt obligated to do it. I know that sounds like a funny thing to say, but in my view, we weren't in good shape. 3 years ago, we had a difficult time. There was lots of tasks that were at hand, and I mean no disparaging comments to anyone who was on council previously. I know all those individuals. I have great respect for them, but I think they'd all admit as a group they had difficulties. So,
Yeah.
I decided to put my name in, and then, I was honored to have the privilege to represent our town in the capacity of councillor. And since then, I've found that what's happened to me is it's not a burden to me at all. Certainly, there's times where I get very, very busy with this and just other things that I have going on in my life, but I really enjoy it. So, when people are asking me about, hey, what shows have you seen on Netflix, or did you see the hockey game last night? My answer is usually no. And why the answer is no is I'm at some sort of committee meeting, or I'm buried in readings that I need to do for council, but it's just not a burden for me. I enjoy it. So, if you never want to work a day in your life, make sure you're doing something you enjoy. And I just don't find this work. It's a lot of fun. And I think as a group, we're doing some good things. So we don't always agree. I think there's some criticism of this council about, are we just one big entity and everybody, it's a love-in in some ways. But I think if you really watch it in detail, you'll see that, there is some disagreements, and at times there is some friction. But there's healthy friction, and no one has called anybody out. No one has, said, oh, that Councillor Taylor is a dirty so-and-so. It's been respectful discourse.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, that's what the taxpayers have asked us to do, right? Like, you need to debate the issues. Yep. But to see the unprofessionalism within council chambers, I don't think people want that. Let's just be cordial and represent the town in the way that we can all be proud. And I think for the most part we've done that, which is great.
Obviously I've only been looking for a few months, but I do have to say, like, it definitely isn't a giant love-in. There is definitely disagreement on things, which is good. Honestly, and I feel like sometimes people people literally just put up the opposing view just to make sure there is that discussion. Not like there's sincere advocates for it, but it's just like we need to have those discussions. And honestly, I feel like you do that sometimes, which is good, because we like you said, we need to have those discussions. So it's not just everyone just blindly signing off on one recommendation. Like, we need to have discussions.
Yeah, I think for me too, Josh, the big thing is I made a decision, and I wasn't quite sure what I was doing when I first got on council. And what I mean by that is I had to sort it through. I had to figure it out and find my way. Yeah. And once I found my way, and it probably took 6 or 8 months to do that and feel comfortable in the chair. There's a lot of responsibility by representing your town, but once I got comfortable, I was able to make up my mind that this is going to be a flippant comment, but I'm not there to get reelected. This isn't about, me keeping a chair for a long period of time. I'm going to do the best that I can and represent the town of Orangeville in the best way that I can. And if that means that I don't get elected again, I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm not doing anything that's irresponsible or untowards. I'm not going to make decisions based on a popular opinion. I'm going to make them based on the facts that I have available and what is best for the town of Orangeville. And an example of it would be, I don't wear it like a badge of honor, but I am still confident in my decision. And that is, I did not vote to go to OPP. The vote was 6-1. Well, who wants to be on the end of a 6-1 vote? No. I can tell you not many human beings would want that. And I certainly didn't want it either. But that's the reality of what happened. And I lost that vote, and that's absolutely fine. But then the net of it is I'm at peace with my decision, and I still think I was right. And time will determine that as we go.
Yeah. Well, do you mind just letting us know, like, how the transition, how's that gone so far? If you don't mind mind me asking.